it's Jim Hamill. Welcome to Pocono Mountains Podcast, Season 3, Episode 7. Our region is home to many entrepreneurs from the hospitality side of things, which we highlight at just about every turn here on the podcast. Now there are makers, creative individuals who use their hands, their tools, and their minds to develop projects and notable products that make our Poconos just as unique as it is. We'll introduce you to Brittany with Goods and Grain in just a bit. She's outgrown her home workshop and into a new location now, helping to create signs and other projects that can be seen all across the area. The Poconos is a year-round destination for millions of people with 2,400 square miles of mountains, forests, lakes, and rivers. With historic downtowns and iconic family resorts, it's the perfect getaway. You can always find out more on PoconoMountains.com or watch PTN, the Pocono Television Network, streaming live 24/7. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. We'll have a new episode each week, highlighting lots of the fun things you can experience while you're visiting the Poconos. Subscribe and leave a review and or a comment on whatever platform you listen. Now back to the episode. On the recent May Pocono Mountains magazine, we highlighted the career and successes of Brittany Chatterton with Goods and Grain in Hamlin. Brittany has a lot to say about how she's achieved so much since pivoting during the pandemic, and we wanted to share this extended conversation with you as she continues to make an impact on the Poconos community doing what she loves. Enjoy. Hello, it's Jim Hamill, host of Pocono Mountains Podcast, coming at you from the Maker Lab. We are at Good and Grains with the maker herself, Brittany Chatterton. We're doing a Pocono Mountains magazine segment with you here at your home base in Hamlin. It's an amazing space where you are creating so many different things, signage that you see at different places throughout the Pocono Mountains. Tell me all about what your vision is for what you're doing in the community, for your business, and just for you in a lifestyle way.
I think a lot of what drives me is the innate desire to create with my hands. And that comes from being a stonemason's daughter, a stonemason's granddaughter. I have seen those humans give their bodies to their craft. And I, in my own way, through sign making, have translated it to my business that I have here.
It's pretty cool. I was here for the ribbon cutting last week, and
the official.
It was a huge amount of people out here supporting you. You must feel like you have such a great support network then, from family, friends, to neighbors, that kind of stuff.
And a lot of that has been organically grown through my social media Instagram account and just creating connections, not only locally, but even beyond that. And it was surreal, and I felt so grateful and thankful for everybody who came, from friends to strangers to former clients to future clients. And it was just, it was an amazing event to have my family and, have my two little girls get to see that was amazing.
Yeah, definitely heartwarming, as I mentioned. But you had to start somewhere. Tell me how you got going with this. This was probably like, hobby in some way, maybe?
It was. I was working full-time at an architectural millwork firm in Easton that specialized in high-end interiors, all in Manhattan. And when the pandemic hit and COVID happened, I transitioned to being home-based and drafting from home. And I started, it was a side hustle. It was a hobby, and then it turned into a side hustle. And then there was this aha moment of, oh, I could make this my thing. Like, I could do this full time. And slowly but surely, the jobs just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they didn't stop coming. And I don't believe or hope that they'll stop coming.
I think that's the whole premise here, right?
Yeah.
You are in the midst of your space here. It is well designed, I would say. You've got a little bit of a retail front here, small shop. What do you have here? Because this is your home base, as I mentioned.
Yes.
This is where you create. This is where you meet with everybody. Describe kind of the space that you have here, because it's relatively new and remade.
Yes, it's a little bit of a mix. I find I'm a little bit of a mix of everything, and I offer many services. There's a small retail shop that's primarily filled with all female founded merch from other makers like myself. And then there's also the merch that I have created.
But that
trailed off.
It's very, I think, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
You try to have something for everybody's taste in some way, shape, or form. And then tell me too, you guys have kind of expanded into now having classes and events here.
The workshops.
Yeah.
It's a creative studio. I have this amazing workbench behind me that's 5 foot by 14 feet. And when I came to look at the space before signing the lease, it was like, oh, this must be the place. Like I can myself lead my own workshop and then have visiting artisans come in as well. So far to date, we've had a candle maker from the Lehigh Valley, a polymer clay artist from the Pittston area, and we have a Hamlin-based cookie artist who has a workshop at the end of the month, and it's already sold out. And I myself will be leading a sign make and take class at the end of the month.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of stuff that people can find online with recurring events.
Yep.
But out in the community, they can see your handiwork, as you were alluding to, sign making. I was just at the Wayne County Community Foundation. A sign that you've made for them is right there in their new conference room. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
And we were also just shooting the intro for this piece too at one of my favorite hangouts.
Yeah, they got good beer.
They do. But how did that come about? You told me it was kind of a unique little connection.
Kind of an interesting way. I had gotten the number from a friend to Austin Larian of the Jam Room, and I knew they were renovating the space, and I was like, well, I'm going to call them up and see if they have a space for rent. And they did not. So the conversation went a little bit like, okay, you don't have any space, but do you need a sign? And that is how that unfolded. And it was a very amazing opportunity to have. At that time, I hadn't made a sign larger than, I think, 30 inches, maybe 4 foot. And here I was saying, yeah, I can make you a 8-foot round sign. Yep, sure thing. And I did. Yeah. I did. It took a lot of trial and error. Many mistakes were made, but overall, the end result hangs on the front of the building.
And we saw the sound bites one. So both of those, your handiwork in a lasting way, in a very impressionable way on people who live here and like to, visit a place like that, or people outside the area who come here. That's their first impression. Like you're making that mark for these businesses locally in the Poconos.
Yeah, I like to think so. And I think I serve small businesses really well in that way. And I've tried really hard to make that my niche.
That's fantastic. Now, Wayne County Community Foundation too, you were a recipient of the Aunts and Uncles, Circle of Aunts and Uncles.
The microloan program that they had, which again, so grateful for that opportunity. Ryan Jennings had reached out and shared the application. I was like, oh, you want me to apply? Like, okay. So I received an application, and it probably took about 3 months for me to be able to put on paper. I knew I was going to make a large investment in a larger laser. I just didn't have the physical space to do that. So I had to let a few other things fall into place. And the whole team there was so understanding and helped myself and Ray, another Newfoundland local from Kaizen Snacks, through the process. It was their first time lending. So we worked really well together, just working through the kinks. And it's an amazing thing to have as a small business, to be able to know that there's those resources out there.
And you also have, I would say, a big support network here in the building too. Describe to me, this is near Hamlin Four Corners, and that's a very busy intersection, and there's a lot of retail and restaurants around. But then this property, was Finn's family, right? It was in her family, and then she's really made kind of like a lot of different opportunities here for
other small businesses like myself. It's a sanctuary, really. And it's just an amazing fact to know that it was in her family. It didn't pass through to her through that way. She had the yoga studio upstairs for 3 years and had the opportunity to purchase the building a year and a half ago. And since then, has created an amazing space for myself, an acupuncturist, a mental health therapist, an esthetician, a lash artist. And I think I'm forgetting something.
There's a tea room, right?
How could I forget? I'm in there like every day with getting a latte. It's which is such a space when you enter it. It doesn't exist around here. So she has really brought something special.
So you must feel very at home.
I do. And it's to be surrounded by a group of women who are pursuing something with the same intensity that I myself do every day is inspiring, and we really relate to each other on a level that you may not get if you weren't in a collective space like this.
That's fantastic. You have a lot of projects that you're working on.
I do.
It takes a lot to work with your hands too, right? It's not just something that you can pick up one day and start doing. This has probably been mastered over many years.
It has, yeah. All self-taught on the scroll saw, the CNC, and then my foundation for the laser work comes from my drafting background. I took my first drafting classes at Homestead High School, and
Go Hornets.
Yes. I use that knowledge every single day. I've always thought in a very spatially perceptive and aware kind of way. And that's why I went to work in a millwork field, not realizing I could make signs with beautiful flowers, or, a very feminine way with a very feminine influence. And it's pretty cool to be able to know how to use most of these power tools pretty well and create the things that I do.
So full-time mom, full-time maker,
full-time fiance, friend, all the things.
And you have a passion too for Newfoundland, the Poconos. So like in some way, shape or form, you have an optimistic view of like how we can get to kind of having more grains type of, opportunities for people, right?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest struggles that I was up against in Newfoundland was a physical space for me to inhabit to let my business grow and scale. It didn't exist, and it still doesn't exist. One day, I truly hope that it will exist. That will go beyond me. That requires water infrastructure and a progressive, forward-thinking, collective community, which is there. The people of Newfoundland, they're very prideful and hardworking, and they love their community, and they want to see it thrive. And I am part of that movement, and I'm really, really glad to be.
Well, we're glad that you are not just a member of the Pocono Mountains Visitors Bureau, but doing what you do here to make a mark on like I mentioned, the different various touch points that people have with this area, because we have a lot of pride in our region and in what you guys do here, and certainly wish you great success.
Thank
I know
you.
You've already achieved that. We'll achieve more, let's just say. So Brittany Chatterton with Goods and Grain here in Hamlin, right? Just off the Four Corners here. And what's this building called? The Crease?
Soulworks Collective.
Soulworks Collective, okay.
Come visit us.
Big red building here. Come visit her. Check her out online. Your URL for people?
bcgoodsandgrain.com.
Perfect. Goods and Grain in Hamlin, just one small business of many, making a name for itself. Find out more about events, classes, and more at Goods and Grain at PoconoMountains.com.
It's the Great Pocono Raceway Air Show, May 27th through 28th. See the U.S. Navy Blue Angels precision fly the F-18 Hornet. Then watch the greatest fighter in the world, the F-22 Raptor, rip up the sky. Tickets available at PoconoAirShow.com.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm Jim Hamill. Now for another chance to get to know the people who are part of the Poconos. Hassan Abdelmonim heads up Mount Airy Casino Resort, and PTN's Christina Luna introduces us to the Vice President of Resort Operations to hear more about his background and what makes the classic Poconos property so special. Enjoy.
I'll never forget the first day as I came across the hill, and looked at this beautiful property. It was so green. That's what makes this place special, I think, is the raw nature that there still is in this area. It's an incredible thing.
How is Mount Airy Casino Resort different from other casinos that you've worked at?
It is a beautiful place. There's the beautiful championship golf course. There's the lake. It's very idyllic. Just looking at it from afar, you see this, it looks like one of these European castles that are set in Switzerland or something like that. So it has that feel to it. It's stunning on the inside. It's a beautiful place. And it's just our job to sort of enhance it and help develop it, make sure that it's, it remains in that sort of pristine condition.
How does it make it special being family owned?
There's more passion. There's more involvement, I think, with the family, because it's very real and near to them, you know. So this is a beautiful place, and it's beautiful because people's heart and emotion, has been baked into, what's going on here at the property.
And tell us about where we're sitting right now, because it looks amazing and it looks new.
It is new. This is the convention center. It was built in 2019. We have 20,000 square foot of meeting space and large conventions. We do weddings.
And tell us a little bit about like what people enjoy coming here. Are they all going to a casino? Is different? What kind of people is this place for?
Yes, we are a casino, but we're unique as a casino. Some casinos are just designed for that. But we also have other resort amenities here, in keeping with the history of the place. So it's still a romantic getaway for a lot of people. We still have championship golf. We have a beautiful indoor-outdoor swimming pool for relaxation. We have a spa, beautiful suites, and plenty of choices for food and beverage. So I think we sit well on both sides of it. There's a lot to do at Mount Airy.
With all your experience, how do you use that experience worldwide in motivating your people, leading your team?
I think as you progress, what you can do most, first of all, is to give back, is to help to develop some of the newer managers and supervisors on the team. Mentorship is a key part of hospitality, I think, and success in hospitality. For me, having that similar experience, as a young manager in hospitality was key. I remember one of my first mentors was a gentleman from Belgium, Jean-Claude Matteau, and the things that we learned from that man, I will remember all my life. There have been several really good mentors along the way, and that's, I think, key for anybody who's coming into, the hospitality field.
Along the way means also all around the world, right? Because you lived in many. Tell us a little bit
true.
About that, because that's very unique in you that we don't find with everybody.
I was born in London, and at a very young age, we moved back to my father's country. So I grew up in East Africa. We went back and forth to England every year. Following that, I spent some time in Germany, then in Wales. And during that time, I got to go to visit Russia when it was still red in those days. It was, it was a difficult thing to do. And then came to college in the States and saw some of the beauty of this country. That's something that gave me perspective, because you get perspective the more places you live in the world. You start to understand. And this is a beautiful country. So I've had a chance to see all the different things that that there are in America to offer, from the cities to the beautiful countrysides. And this place, so the Poconos, is a beautiful place. It really is. It's up there in one of the top 3 places, I think, that I've ever lived.
You also live in so many other places, and I would like to know, from all the places you've lived around the world, which are your favorite ones and why?
I lived in Dubai for a little while, and what an amazing place that is. The hotels and the architecture, everything is just an amazing thing. So from a wow perspective, I think Dubai takes the cake there. My favorite city is probably London. I think it's a great melting pot of people, of cultures, of architecture that dates 1,000 years old to today. I live here locally in Strasbourg. I think that this area is just one of those idyllic resort, outdoors sort of destinations, and it's a beautiful place to live in. So I'd give that as a solid thumbs up as my third choices of places to live.
We're in the right place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what did you learn professionally and personally from living in different places and all your experience in hospitality?
So I think professionally, the more times you work with different groups of people, the more you actually learn. I think that's just a natural occurrence, because you learn different ways of doing things, and you get new ideas from people as you go on through life. And I think that's very important.
And personally, because you've lived in places like Sudan, that's so different from London or Dubai. As a human being, what have you learned from this contrast?
So I think that if you're fortunate enough to have lived in different countries and different socioeconomic backgrounds for those countries as well, you get perspective, and it gives you the idea of I'm very thankful for where I live these days, right? Because I have lived in some places where just the very basic needs of life aren't met, and there's no security net around it. So I think perspective is what you get, and as you meet people, and everyone has their struggles in life and is looking to do well for their families and to improve their sense of being. So I think that's the key thing, perspective. Yeah, keeps you humble.
And talking about families, tell us about your family. Did they travel with you? And if so, how did they adjust with all this moving around?
My family's always traveled with me, and we approach everything as a new adventure. It's when the world gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? So I think if you have that mentality, I think it makes it a lot easier.
What is the most important thing you've learned in all your years that you can pass and you can share with our viewers here?
I love what I do. And I think that also, being able to, help develop people in hospitality and in tourism, I think is important. I think people don't understand that it's not a job; it's a career path. And I'm testament to that. I started as a front desk clerk and rose to be a vice president, and it's not through anything other than showing up, learning, applying, new skills, and waiting for the opportunities, because there are a lot of opportunities in our business, in hospitality. And I think people don't know that.
So how would you inspire people, tell them, those that would like to try a career in hospitality?
First of all, it has to come natural to you. You have to be a people person. You have to enjoy dealing with the public. If you are that person, you're 80% of the way. Find a location to work where it fits what you like, and then apply yourself. I tell people, if you just 80% of the work is just show up to work, have a good attitude, and you'll be recognized very quickly for your abilities.
Show up on time, right?
Show up on time, always. Yes.
Yeah. How do you bring all your life experience, your success, your work around the world to these people, to inspire these people that would like to be like you or would like to try something different and they don't feel they know how to?
We are all the same, okay? It doesn't matter where you've lived, what you gain some experience along the way, but we are all the same. And to connect with people and just let them know, I've been where you've been. I've seen the problems that you're going forward. This is how we can get through it. This is the direction that we need to follow, and you'll be fine. You're doing exactly what's needed, and you're learning as you go on. And I think people can relate to that. It's like, oh, here's somebody who's done what I've done. And in talking to them, they can encourage you and they can, lift you, so to speak. So I think that works really well with, especially with people who are struggling to decide which direction should I follow, what is my career path, And then I think the idea of, travel, if you want to travel in this business, there's hotels, there's casinos, there's big food and beverage operations everywhere in the country, everywhere in the world. You're only restrained by where do you feel comfortable moving to, And I think that's the joy of our business. There's always opportunities everywhere in the world that you can go and take advantage of if you decide that's what you want to do.
Mount Airy Casino Resort and Goods and Grain, two of the finest the Pocono Mountains has to offer for entertainment, lodging, and of course, for making creative projects for businesses and organizations of all sizes. We hope you enjoyed Pocono Mountains podcast. Please remember to subscribe anywhere podcasts are available. Come visit us in the Pocono Mountains. Plan your trip today.